This particular article, which has appeared on the Hindu, a lesson from the China on gigs and the platform workers' right. The swell of the public opinion in the China has enabled the government regulation and the change in the company policy. Indians should also make an effort to be better informed about the way these platforms work. So now let us directly look into the article. So on January 20, food tech delivery platform Swiggy announced that it was laying off 380 employees due to the challenging macroeconomics condition. In this article dated September 30, 2021, Swamya Asok explained how the Indian public need to be more informed about the plight of the gig worker, taking a leaf out of the China's experience with the same. So on September 20, 2021, Indian Federation of the App-based Transport Workers, on behalf of the gig workers, filed a public interest litigation in the Supreme Court demanding that the union government provide succor to workers affected by the pandemic. The petition has asked for the gig workers and the platform worker to be declared as an unorganized workers so they come under the purview of the Unorganized Workers Social Security Act 2008. In short, the petition demands social security benefit from the food delivery platforms such as the Zomato, Swiggy, and the taxi aggregator apps such as the Ola and Uber. That same week, China strode ahead in this regard, owing to the public measure. Two of its food delivery platform, Mutuan and Ellie.me, committed to end the practice of forcing the worker to register as an independent businesses, which has long helped this platform evade the responsibility as an employer. Both the platform runs a duopoly in the sector, capturing over 90% of the market share and employs millions of the gig workers. In a notice to labor aggregator partners, Mutuan said it prohibited signing on the delivery workers through deceptive or coercive means. Now, invisible to frontline. The one major factor that the pandemic has helped change is the erstwhile invisibility of delivery workers. Though 2020, a trend that spanned the China, India, the US, and Europe saw invisible workers being propelled to the frontline worker. In China, this was especially the case in the Wuhan, the pandemic epicenter, where there was a clear transition of the social discourse in the favor of the delivery worker. People's Daily, the largest state affiliated daily in the China, responded to the public sentiment by ranking delivery worker among the top 10 occupation. The media aided this transformation. In the fall of the 2020, Renew, a monthly Chinese magazine, took an exhaustive look at the plight of the delivery workers across the two delivery platforms titled The Delivery Rider Trapped in the System. The article was shared over 200 million times on the Chinese internet, indicating how deeply these social media users connected with the issues. One indicator of how seriously an issue is taken by the public is its virality on the Chinese web. In 2015, for instance, a TED style talk on the China's pollution crisis get 100 million views across the major video streaming site within 48 hours of its release, resulting in the policy change. The Renwu piece highlighted how delivery workers were trapped in a sophisticated labor control system they had unwittingly downloaded onto their phones. Simply put, the algorithm that is put in place by the platform is designed to create animosity between the app user and the worker, where the platform inherently shifts the pressure of receiving the order and maintaining the smooth flow of the deliveries onto the workers. But it is important to note that the pushback against the influential platforms had begun long before COVID 19. Over the years, strike in the different part of the China have reflected this growing backlash as the food delivery platform expanded through the pandemic period, growing massively in the revenues and the scales. Strike increase in numerous Chinese cities and have continued despite various barriers to collective action. In the early 2021, in successive strike spanning over 2 months, delivery workers protested against the poor working condition in the cities such as the Shenzhen, Tongjiang, Lingyi. Delivery workers protested against the new company's policy that slashed their pay per delivery. A protest in the Tanzhou saw a delivery worker set himself on the fire demanding unpaid wage. In 2018, an associate professor of the sociology at the Howard University, Wa Yin Li, documented the strike in the Consque, a municipality in the southwest China. She found that the workers had mobilized through the social media and the offline meeting. They united to protest against the decreasing piece rate and unilateral change of the contract terms of the platform rules. At the time of her fieldwork, the Chinese state had not intervened in the market to restrain the monopoly power of the platforms or initiate the antitrust investigator. This provided the platform with the unrestricted power to exercise the technological control. But the pandemic was curious in this regard. It began with the Chinese state indicating that the platform should help soak up the devastating effect of the pandemic on the workforce, and it ended with the state asserting increased control over much tech companies, including the Meituan, for allegedly abusing its dominant market position via the new anti-monopolistic guidelines in the China, where the government is now focused on the common prosperity which seek to narrow a widened wealth gap that threatens the country's economic rise. The government scrutiny over the food delivery platform has increased. The authoritarian context is a weak civil society, and the absence of an independent labor union leaves the gig worker in the China with the very little option but to go on strike or protest. Despite the risk to affect the change in April, Xiaxin reported that the government official disguised himself as the Mutian driver and worked a 12-hour shift, barely making RMB 41 $6.32 for a day work. He was featured in the television program in the Beijing and stated that the experience left him feeling humiliated. In July, seven government agencies jointly passed guidelines directing online food delivery platforms that they should not set evaluation criteria based on the optimization algorithm, must respect the right of the delivery workers and ensure that they earn at least a minimum wage of the social insurance. Many of these government initiatives have been public driven. It was in the government's interest to intervene when it realized that there was growing discontent not only among the delivery worker but also the public about their plight. The Indian context. The situation is vastly different in India. Any reform in the sector is led wholly by the delivery worker, not by the public. For 27 days in the 2020, close to 3,000 delivery workers from the Swiggy went on strike in the Hyderabad to protest the slash in the remuneration from the 35 to 15 per order. The strike disbanded only after the Joint Commissioner of the Labor Department called a hearing with the platform's operation manager and the workers' union. It was the first time in the India that such a negotiation was taking place, that too on the street. This year, in the lead up of the Zomato July's IPO, several anonymous Twitter accounts set up delivery workers called customer attention to what they deem as exploitative practice employed by the platform. The PIL in the Supreme Court is another major step in this regard. The biggest lesson from the China is the swell of the public opinion that has partly led to the government regulation and the change in the company policy. In the US, a gig worker collective has urged the customer to delete the Instacart app as a show of solidarity until the demand for the better working conditions are met. Indians could make an effort to be better informed about the way platform work by seeking out delivery workers and asking about their work condition and the pressure they face. We will then be aware of the price that a person who we only see as a miniature bike on our app pays for our convenience. That's it for this particular article. Thank you.